Okay, so I have to finally make this video. I've been wanting to make this for a very long time. For probably at least 3 years now, I've had this theory, right, about Bob Lazar. And I've never said it, nor have I heard anybody else say it until this moment right now when I watch this video. And once I seen this, I'm like, it almost made me jealous because I'm like, now everybody's going to start saying this shit, right? But I had this theory. I'm not even going to play it yet. I had this theory a while back about Bob, right? I'm like, okay, his story was so like intriguing because if you can feel when someone's being genuine, that is the biggest, most interesting thing about him and his story. Because when he talks, you know he's being genuine. Like you're like, yo, that does not sound like a liar. Like, why? Like, what's going on here? Why is he not being deceiving right now, talking about this crazy ass story, right? And when you look back on his old life, he used to be very mischievous, and he would get into things, and he would not always follow the rules. And bro, I am almost 99% sure that Bob Lazar is telling the truth, and his only discrepancy is about his school, and it's because he faked his degree. I'm almost 100% sure of it, that he faked his degree, because that is what a young Bob would do, and he would. And I'm gonna bring up some points here, and this sounds exactly like something he would do, like back when he was younger. Literally get his dream job. He's already super smart and knowledgeable on the topic. He could easily fool somebody into thinking he was like that back when there was no Instagrams and YouTubes and social medias. Like, people couldn't really put these pieces together to like call him out on this. So it's like, back then you could just do something like this and possibly get away with it. I actually thought about this a long time ago about how many people fake their degree, and I looked up a video on it, or like Reddit stories and shit, and people do this shit all the fucking time. I don't know if they still do it. I think it'd be harder to do today, but people used to do this all the time. Okay, so I'm like, that is the discrepancy, right? It's his schooling. So he's been telling the truth about everything, but he faked his schooling. He got a job with a fake degree, and then he ended up getting in a situation where he's able to work at like Area 51 or whatever, and they just never question his degree because he's literally already working as an physicist. And it's like, when do you, people don't even, I don't even think they would think of that. Like if you like, nobody's ever been like, yo, is Neil deGrasse Tyson have a fake degree? Like, let's look into it. Like, no, you just assume that because he's in the position he's at, that he must have these schooling. And if he does have the credentials on paper or whatever it is, you don't think that somebody's faking their degree. So I'm sure they can get away with it for a while, right? So I'm thinking this, right? And then I've thought this for a long time, and then like recently, I should really look it up, but it was like that the Concrete podcast. I can't talk. This guy is talking about Bob Lazar, and he's on there. I think it's this guy. Yeah. Okay. So he's on there, and he is basically thinking that he's like exposing Bob as a fake, right, or a fraud. So he goes on there, and he's like, I know he's a fraud because we actually like looked into his schooling degree, and we actually found out that, like, we traced it back and found out that it was actually tied to this online college that's known for giving out fake degrees, and so he's a fraud. And literally when he said that, I'm like, oh my god, like you just proved my point. Like, this is what I've been saying. This is not proving he's a fraud. This is proving that like what I'm saying is legit, that he just faked his degree when he was younger and got these jobs, and he can't say it now. Like he's literally got a whole career like that has to do with him being a scientist and a physicist, and like what is he gonna do, throw away his whole current life just to prove some people wrong? Like fuck no. He'll probably go to jail. I don't know if he'd go to jail, but he would probably get in big trouble for, working on stuff without having a degree. I just saw somebody pretending to be a doctor not too long ago, and they went to prison. But it's like, and this guy at the time, he was pumped because he's thinking he exposed him. And I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, oh my God, you just literally helped me believe him even more. And then I remember, and I cannot remember this for the life of me, but Joe was talking to somebody else. I don't think it was a big famous podcast, but he was talking to somebody else. And in the conversation, and this one I can just barely remember, the other person brought up Bob. And he also said something about, like his schooling just doesn't make sense. And Joe said, yeah, but, when he was here after the podcast was over, Bob told me something that made his schooling make sense. But I can't say it. He said something along those lines like that. And I remember when he said that, I was like, yep, he probably took him aside and said, hey, look, man, I this is a big moment for us. I know this podcast is huge, but I'm being legit, but my schooling doesn't make sense because I fucking got a fake degree. And nobody noticed, and I just happened to wind up in this crazy situation, and now nobody believes me because of this, but I can't say anything. I literally can't say anything. So, and when he said that, I'm like, yep, see? And then I'm on Twitter today, and I see this video. Sorry, I'm like super hyped up. I should have made this video like fucking years ago. Because, bro, this is...
Could not verify his background. And I will confide to you this. I don't believe he ever went to those schools. I don't believe Bob Lazar could get a degree from Caltech or MIT for a very simple reason. At American universities, when you get a degree, an undergraduate degree, you have to take all kinds of core courses in subjects that you may not be interested in. Literature. I cannot possibly imagine, and Anna, you know Bob, I can't imagine Bob Lazar sitting through a class in American Lit or reading poetry or something like that. He'd never stand for it. There is no way in hell that he sat through that stuff to get a degree. So what do we do? What do we do with that? Do we throw out the story? Here's how I rationalize it, is Bob would not be the first person to lie about his educational credentials in order to get a good job. As his friend of a long time, I've given him the opportunity. Bob, look, come clean on this. Let me know about if it's a lie. Come clean on it. Get it behind you. And he's never given me that satisfaction of saying, yeah, it's a lie. He maintains the story. I don't know what the true story is, whether they could make his records disappear. I have found people who said he wasn't.
Is George Knapp pretty much saying, like, did he fake his degree to get a good job? He wouldn't be the first one. And I literally, when I heard him say this, I mean, he's literally damn near Bob's best friend. Fucking, I'm telling you, all these point to my theory being correct, okay? When he talks, he is a genuine person. I have a genuine radar, and I know he's not lying. This is why I was so attracted to a story in the first place. When I listened to like Travis Walton and a couple others, like I honestly don't, I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but I don't get that genuine feeling when I listen to them talk, right? But Bob, I've always gotten a genuine feeling from him. Always. And that was the thing that threw me off, because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, and my gut is telling me he's telling the truth, right? Like, someone who is lying, especially such an elaborate lie with all of these details, they never last long. Ever. Never. They get called out immediately. What's that one girl's name that was, like, talking about the fucking aliens that were in the mountain, and they were going to go get a team and go talk to them? And Jolly, remember her? Right. she got exposed like 2 weeks later or something. Like, it was over with. It's like, people don't last when they lie. They don't. And Bob has literally stood tall this whole time. And people are like scratching and clawing to find ways to not believe him, right? Like the skeptics and the debunkers, they're like, it should be way easier than that. It should be way easier than that. They should be able to find something that would have been extremely definitive. You know, over these fucking 30, 40 years he's been telling this, you know that there's people who have been just obsessed with trying to get that smoking gun that he's a liar. And how many people must have went through his back, like trying to dig and dig and dig, and they still have not come up with something that is literally definitive. And that doesn't happen with people who lie. It just doesn't. So I just wanted to put this on record that I am saying, and I've been saying this for years and years and years. It is 2024. It is February 2nd of 2024. And I've been saying at least since I think the Jeremy Corbell documentary came out. I think a little bit before that, I have been saying that Bob Lazar's only biggest discrepancy is his school, and that's only because he forged his school back in the day. And I'm putting this on record. Bob is telling the truth. He just faked his school, and he cannot come out and say that. He just can't come out and say it, or his life would basically be ruined, and he'd have to start over. And he's not trying to do that. So, putting it in the books, that's what happened.